can't read backwards as well as I used to be able to. I used to be able to read and write backwards, and I would also write with my left hand as well as my right hand. Lots of poems, my elegy. So this was my suicide note. I was a very happy child. I used to ride horses, and I first represented Great Britain when I was 13. I was destined for glory. When I was 18, I was galloping a racehorse, and the horse tripped. He catapulted headfirst onto the floor, and I fell. I landed on my head, and I was unresponsive, dead. An air ambulance took me to hospital. I fell into a coma. And a long time later, I awoke with total amnesia. I couldn't control anything in my life. I didn't know who I was. I was severely debilitated and disabled by the injury. So I tried to control what I was eating and my body shape, which is how I developed anorexia nervosa. I lost weight and I felt good about that, but nothing was ever satisfactory. I was never happy about my body. I was never happy about anything. Losing weight didn't work. I also began to behave rather destructively towards myself. I would self-harm. I had voices in my head telling me to do things, horrible things. Particularly a man called Darkness Clings. He would tell me to destroy myself. He would say I was a bad person, that I needed to die. I went to hospital, many psychiatric hospitals over the next 20 years, and the doctors tried to understand me, but they couldn't. They just sedated me. And I began to learn even more tricks and behaviours to develop my anorexia nervosa and my other mental illnesses. This is when I was living in France and teaching as a lecturer at the Sorbonne, and I would write in French, in pidgin French. I wasn't at all well when I was teaching and living in France. I was sectioned twice and detained in an ancient lunatic asylum on the edges of Paris. It was a very scary time, so in my journals I was resorting to talking to myself. They took away my journal and all my writing and painting implements and my telephone. They took away everything. And they tied me to a bed in a padded white cell. It was the worst. They stuck a tube up my nose and attached me to a machine, which fed me. I tried my hardest to break the machine, and I tried to assert myself and say that I couldn't cope, that they needed to help me, not destroy me, as it felt. But it took 2 nurses to hold me down. They attacked me, restrained me, tied me to a bed. No more. J'ai peur, c'est trop. I'm terrified, it's too much. At one point during my admission, a naked man came into my room and attacked me twice. This still affects me now, that experience. I was never able to find a treatment until in 2017 I was admitted to a ward in Oxford. And there, the team made art central to my treatment programme. I was able to imagine recovery, or what a recovered Lorna might be. But I was also able to build a recovery identity, which was incredible. I was in therapy during that time, and every time we came upon a point in therapy that I couldn't talk about, that I needed to process and deal with, but I couldn't. My therapist, David, would say, go in and draw that, or paint that, or express that. With a paintbrush or a pencil, I could immediately contact the difficult times of my life and express them in a really radical, innovative, and incredibly touching, tactile way. So I would draw pictures of what happened in France. I would draw pictures of the trauma that I have experienced along my journey. I would draw pictures of the worst, and then I would take that back to my therapist and I would show him, and I'd say, this is it. And we could then begin to have a conversation about it. So my artwork gave me a tool and a technique to process and deal with what was impossible to process and what I couldn't deal with. So I was discharged eventually and had more therapy in the community and began to build my recovery. And now here I am. I have fully recovered from my eating disorder and I am happy. In a way, writing backwards is pointing forwards. When I write backwards, I'm definitely thinking forwards. I'm exercising the other side of my brain. I'm creating a code. The code is visible in the mirror image. So you put the writing to a mirror and you can read it legibly. You can see me. Here I am, open. Tread carefully, you tread on my dreams.